want to begin by saying something that I hope you'll hear. Not just with your mind, but with your heart. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you've been carrying something for a very long time. Maybe it's been 5 years, maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe even longer. You've carried it quietly because it's incredibly difficult to explain to people who haven't lived it. When you try to describe your experience, people often respond with well-meaning advice that somehow misses the point. They tell you that every marriage is difficult, that nobody gets everything they need from a relationship, or that you simply need to communicate more clearly. After hearing those responses enough times, many people stop talking about it altogether, not because the pain has disappeared, but because they're exhausted from trying to explain something that almost nobody seems to understand. If that's where you find yourself today, I want you to know something before we go any further. I believe you. I believe you've experienced profound loneliness even while sharing your life with someone else. I believe you've questioned your own perceptions, replayed conversations over and over in your mind, and wondered whether you somehow caused the emotional distance you've been feeling. I believe you've worked harder than most people around you realize, and I believe you're tired. Not just physically tired, but emotionally tired. There's a difference, and if you've lived this experience, you know exactly what I mean. One of the greatest tragedies of Cassandra Syndrome isn't simply the loneliness itself. It's what that loneliness gradually begins to do to the way you see yourself. At first, you question a conversation. Then you question your interpretation of that conversation. Before long, you begin questioning your own emotional reality. You start wondering whether you're too sensitive, whether you're expecting too much, or whether this is simply what marriage is supposed to feel like. Those questions don't appear overnight. They develop slowly, almost invisibly, until doubting yourself becomes more familiar than trusting yourself. That's one of the main reasons I wanted to create this video. Yes, we're going to talk about communication. We're going to explore nervous system regulation, healthy boundaries, grief, hope, healing, and the unique challenges that can arise in neurodiverse relationships. But beneath all of those topics is something even more important. I want to help you begin trusting yourself again. Somewhere along the way, many people living with Cassandra Syndrome stopped believing their own emotional experience. Recovering that trust becomes one of the most important parts of healing. I also want to be very clear about what this video is not. This is not about blaming your partner. It isn't about deciding who is right and who is wrong, and it certainly isn't about convincing someone else to become a different person. Relationships are rarely transformed by one perfect conversation or one brilliant insight. If they were, most of us would have solved our relationship struggles years ago. Instead, this video is about something much more powerful. It's about helping you reclaim your own emotional health, regardless of what anyone else chooses to do. One of the patterns I've noticed after working with many individuals in neurodiverse relationships is that they often organize their entire emotional life around one question: how do I finally get my partner to understand me? At first, that seems like a perfectly reasonable question. Every human being wants to feel understood. But over time, that question can quietly become a trap because your peace begins depending on something you cannot fully control. You find yourself waiting for the next conversation, the next counseling session, the next breakthrough, or the next moment when everything will finally make sense. While you're waiting, your own life quietly moves into the background. One of the most important shifts in recovery happens when the question changes. Instead of asking, how do I finally get someone else to change? You begin asking, how do I begin healing today? That question doesn't mean you've stopped loving your partner, and it doesn't mean you've given up on your relationship. It simply means you've decided that your own healing is too important to postpone any longer. That single shift restores something many people don't realize they've lost: their sense of personal agency. Another reason I wanted to make this video is because so many people believe there's something wrong with them when they notice how their bodies have changed. They can't relax. Their minds replay conversations late into the night. Their shoulders remain tense. They feel emotionally drained after interactions that seem ordinary to everyone else. They assume they're simply anxious or overly emotional, when in reality, their nervous system has been working overtime to protect them. Your body isn't trying to make your life harder. It's trying to keep you safe. The problem is that what helps us survive isn't always what helps us heal. The encouraging news is that your nervous system can learn something new. Healing rarely arrives through one dramatic breakthrough. It develops through hundreds of small moments in which you begin responding differently. You learn to pause before criticizing yourself. You begin recognizing your emotional needs without apologizing for them. You discover that setting healthy boundaries isn't selfish. It's part of emotional health. Little by little, your brain and body begin realizing that life no longer has to be organized around constant emotional survival. One day you'll notice that a difficult conversation no longer consumes your entire week. Another day you'll realize you didn't spend hours replaying an argument in your mind. Eventually, you'll begin making decisions based more on your values than your fears. Those moments may seem ordinary, but they represent profound healing because they reveal that your nervous system is becoming less organized around danger and more organized around safety. As we begin this journey together, I'd like to ask one thing of you. Please don't watch this video expecting perfection. Instead, look for progress. You don't have to master every concept today. You don't have to change your entire life this week. You simply need to become a little more honest with yourself than you were yesterday, a little more compassionate toward yourself than you were yesterday, and a little more willing to trust your own experience. Those small shifts may not seem dramatic in the moment, but over time, they create remarkable transformation. Before you continue, I'd like to invite you to pause for just a few minutes. Find a quiet place, take a deep breath, and ask yourself one simple question. What brought me here today? Don't worry about saying the right thing. Don't try to organize your thoughts perfectly. Simply be honest. Maybe you're lonely. Maybe you're grieving the relationship you hoped you would have. Maybe you're exhausted from trying so hard for so long. Whatever comes to mind, allow it to be enough. Healing always begins with honesty. I want to leave you with one final thought before we move on. You are not weak because you long for emotional connection. You are not broken because you've struggled under the weight of chronic loneliness. You are not asking for too much because you want to feel seen, understood, and emotionally safe. Those are deeply human needs, and acknowledging them is not the beginning of failure. It's the beginning of recovery. In the next video, we're going to talk about why Cassandra Syndrome is often called an invisible wound, and why understanding that invisible pain becomes one of the most important steps toward lasting healing.
Hey, quick message to neurotypical wives out there who may be suffering from Cassandra Syndrome. Do you feel emotionally exhausted, lonely, confused, disconnected in your relationship? And have you found yourself wondering, why do I feel so alone even though I'm married? And how did I lose myself somewhere along the way? And will I ever feel like me again? Okay, if so, you're not alone. Most of the neurotypical partners I work with experience profound emotional deprivation that slowly erodes their sense of self, confidence, and hope. Here's the good news though. Recovery is possible. I've created a recovery program that's now available as a self-paced online course. Originally offered as a live group, this program has helped participants understand the emotional deprivation they've experienced, make sense of the confusion and self-doubt, and begin rebuilding their sense of identity and emotional strength. Now you can go through the same material from the privacy and comfort of your own home and move through it at the pace that works best for you. Now, whether you're just beginning to understand what you've been experiencing or you've been searching for answers for years, this course will help you begin the journey back to yourself. You don't have to continue surviving on emotional crumbs. You deserve clarity, support, and you deserve to understand what's happened to you. And most importantly, you deserve to recover. The version of you that existed before confusion, exhaustion, and self-doubt is still there, and this course was created to help you find that part of yourself again. Enroll today, won't you? You don't have to wait for the next live group. Your healing can begin now. The link will be in the description area underneath this video and also pinned in the comments section. Hey guys, this is Mark. Some of you may not know that I have a lot of books on Amazon. So if you like my videos, you'll like my books. I have several for ASD spouses, for NT spouses, and for the neurodiverse couple. Underneath any of my videos, you'll see this link. Feel free to click on that link and see what's available. I'm sure you'll find something that applies to you. So if you're struggling in your neurodiverse marriage, help is available, one click away.